The whole LinkedIn journey did not start from me thinking, oh, I'm going to be this big creator type of thing. Like, I'm going to get over 50,000 subscribers, all this stuff. This whole thing started like way back, even before I started the newsletter. And at my first company that I worked at, Gus, I just made like a little personal channel where I could write about some of the things that I was learning. And if anyone joined that channel, they're opting in. Over time, about 50 people joined, and they would start sharing their own learnings. They would respond to my thing. And that's the part that I think a lot of people probably miss out on as well when they write their articles. I'm going to enjoy myself and treat this process with lightness and ease. I will not treat this process with too much seriousness, heaviness, or importance. I am speaking to an individual who really cares what I have to say and who really wants to learn from me. Find people who are trying to do similar things to you, and don't view it as a competition. View it as you can both help each other level up and grow, and you can make the pot larger. It's not like a zero-sum game. It was basically like full-time job from like 9 to 5, LinkedIn post early in the morning, so I'd schedule it for like noon. And then the cohort, I think, was, so I had a couple hours break after work, basically for dinner. And then after that was the cohort from 8 to 10:30 on Tuesday and Thursday. So there were 5 sessions like that, 5 2.5 hour sessions over the course of 3 weeks. So I really enjoyed my Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. One example is you shouldn't be talking for more than 15 minutes without any interaction, right? So like at some point you should be raising a question, getting the audience to write something down, or just like pausing to like let them think about something. My first cohort course, it had over 50 people. My next one had 30. Maybe there's a chance that the next one after that might have had 10 or 15, or it could have had 50. Who knows?
Today, I'm thrilled to have Jordan Cutler with us. Jordan is a senior software engineer at Pinterest and the writer behind the High Growth Engineer newsletter. Over the past year, he has grown this Substack publication from 0 to more than 50,000 subscribers, which is huge, incredible. Now, the reason why I am thrilled to have him on this podcast is because he published a 1-year reflection post a few weeks ago where he mentioned that he has made more than $35,000 in passive income from this newsletter, and a big portion of that revenue came from a cohort-based course that he ran on Maven. That's in our wheelhouse, guys. So Jordan, thank you so much for coming here to talk to us about the community side of your creative business.
Thanks so much for having me. And yeah, I'm excited to dive into both the newsletter and the cohort.
Love this. Okay, so talking about the newsletter, Jordan, how much time does it take for you to write every typical article in the newsletter? Because it sounds like I went through the entire archive and they were really thoughtful and they weren't like surface level stuff. It was actually stuff that you were talking about from your experiences. So give us an estimate of time commitment.
Yeah, so the short answer is my Saturday. um, but I think like it started out as my Saturday, as in, from basically from the beginning of the day to the entire end of the day. And
Okay.
then on Sunday, it would also take sharing it out, writing a LinkedIn post about it on Sunday, and also a preview post on Saturday. Over time, I've gotten a bit better at it, and some posts, they might take me maybe 3 hours or 4 hours, and others, depending on how much in detail I want to try to get to, if I'm willing to split it up, then it might go maybe 8 hours or something like that. But essentially, I've gotten better at trying to figure out what is it that I want to include and going at it in multiple passes. So what I normally do is I'll write an outline first. I actually have like a template that I just put in my sections. And then from those sections, I'll put in like little bullet points in each section. Then after those, then I'll flesh those bullet points out, and I'll add personal stories, which is the hardest part. That's the part that takes the most amount of time. And that's the part that I think a lot of people probably miss out on as well when they write their articles. When you tell me that my articles don't seem surface level is like the whole WikiHow articles, those green articles where
They
they're
could be
just
written by
like,
ChatGPT for what it's worth.
exactly, yeah. So that is, I think, where the biggest time amount comes from, but that's also the part that people relate to the most. And I think that's been instrumental to my growth, number wise and personal wise as well, because I'm not just writing down or rehashing out some other thing that I read. I'm engaging with it in a way that gets me to think about, how have I lived in the past? What have my experiences been? And did I do good? Did I do bad? What about it was good or what was bad? And what can other people learn from those interactions.
Yeah, I really like that. And this is a really cool coincidence. We mentioned that you start a post writing the headlines first and then bullet points, because that is exactly the process that I use when I'm writing my
Mm.
articles for this crash course. And yeah, and I didn't start out that way. I started out by trying to write the entire like paragraphs, but then I found out that yeah, it's just better to dump all the thoughts at once
Hmm.
on the blank page. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Love this. Okay, and let me guess. So when like before you start writing the newsletter, do you get are you able to reuse a lot of the LinkedIn posts that you've been posting throughout the week? And does
Mm.
that feed into the new newsletter article?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, the tough thing with LinkedIn is that the posts are just so hard to go back and find and all that stuff. So
Hmm.
I normally have my sort of data bank as Notion. That's my source of truth. And that'll be where I store learnings from different articles that I read or maybe past experiences that I had, ways that I worded things that worked, ways that might not have, or something like that. And that's a source that feeds in to the LinkedIn posts and the
Hmm.
newsletter. I'd say rarely do I try to repurpose like a LinkedIn post to a newsletter. Normally
Mhm.
it's the inverse where I'll have a newsletter and I could turn that into 5 LinkedIn posts if I wanted to. But a lot of the time I don't. A lot of the time for LinkedIn posts, I just talk about what's on my mind for that day. I think if you start to force those like, oh, okay, what's my topic going to be today or something like that, and you're just trying to tune to the audience, eventually some people, I'm sure it works for some, but at least for me, I would start to get burnt out and be like, this is a never ending. You hear Justin Welsh talk about like the rat race. That to me sounds like a rat race. It's every single time you come up in the morning and you need to think about what's going to be your thing for that day. And you need to do that for 365 times 80 days for the rest of or 80 years for the rest of your life. Like that's a rat
Yeah,
race, if anything.
totally.
So it should be enjoyable.
Definitely. And this is like a really good segue into a question that I already had for later on, which is, does it ever feel that since you have a pro plan in your newsletter, now let's say there is a week where you really don't have this content inside you, like just
Hmm.
waiting to come out, and you're like struggling staring at the blank page. Has it ever happened? And if so, how do you deal with it?
This is a great question. And yes, it does. And I'd say it happens like on a sliding scale, right? Sometimes you might just feel it a little bit, right? Like and you get there and you're like, oh man, it would be really nice if I just had the day off or something like that. But it's not, oh, I feel like crap type of thing. But then there will be days where you just totally feel like crap. And I think the important part is to balance each post. It might be one type of post might be more effort than the other, and you also need to tune back and think about what is the main purpose behind why you're doing this whole thing in the first place, and what is the value that you're going to get intrinsically from doing it. So I use those two techniques. So sometimes, right, if I'm like not feeling up to it, then I might make a post that feels easier to me. An example would be something that I'm just like super familiar with and I can just share out, with the world. Like I had a collection of, I think, like 50 plus resources that are like my resource bank. It's pretty easy for me to just like share out those resources with everyone and just group them into categories in a way that would be helpful for other people. And that was a post that I made at one point where I wasn't really feeling totally up to it. And it was actually like one of my highest performing posts because people love just getting access to resources that they didn't know about. The other aspect of it too is I have this, I'll pull it up real quick. I have this, you might, probably a lot of people that watch this are familiar with Ali Abdaal, and he's a productivity guru. He's the now author of Feel Good Productivity. And one of the things I read from him or watched, was to have like a mantra that sort of brings you back to your central purpose before opening up that blank page. So I won't read the whole thing, but I took most of what he has, which is, I don't care about the performance of the article. My only goal in making it is to share a message I think is worth sharing for whoever wants to hear it. I am not trying to force anything here. I'm merely speaking from the heart, with the mind to inform structure and content and the soul to remain connected to the purpose behind the article. I'm going to enjoy myself and treat this process with lightness and ease. I will not treat this process with too much seriousness, heaviness, or importance. I am speaking to an individual who really cares what I have to say and who really wants to learn from me to level up their own life. So it's not the whole thing. It's pretty much the whole thing. But if you have that, it just brings you back and centers you, and you start to care less about, oh, I need to put something out there. And it's just, I'm just putting thoughts to paper. and just organizing it and getting better. And if someone would find it valuable, then all the power to them.
This is beautiful. Okay. Uh, this is really mind blowing. Can you please send me a link to the post that you are reading from right
Yeah.
now? The Ali Abdaal post.
Yeah, I can send
Yeah,
that
I
right now.
think,
Let me
yeah,
know.
okay. I'll also remind you your email.
Okay. Yeah.
But thank you so much for sharing that. I feel like that is what I need. Like, it makes so much sense. If every time that I'm trying to write a new article or a new post, if I had that in front of me, it would be so awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it would be really helpful for the maybe trying to grow an audience. I feel like everybody these days is trying to get on this almost this rat race, as you call it, getting an audience and trying to write with the purpose of having tens of thousands of followers on Twitter, all of those things. But yeah, it's like you cannot pursue it if you really want to get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really important to understand your motivation. And there, of course, money and whatever popularity or status or something like that will be an element of that. But you should have a general idea of how important is that. If you had, let's say, $100 to divide up between how much you care about the money versus how much you care about the learning benefit versus how much you care about the opportunities that it presents you and the connections that you might make. Take down like those different benefits and think about which are the things that are most important to you. How would you rank them? And you can structure how you write based on that. And for some people, money might be at the number one forefront. And those are the people that, might be just really going hard at every single opportunity to make money that they can. And that's okay. As long as they're doing it in a way that's ethical,
Yeah,
that's totally fine.
yeah. Yeah, I also feel like this discovery for you about why your articles are important. There's one of the reasons for it is when you started sharing it. I remember reading your story in one of your blog posts where you started sharing this Jordan's front end
Yeah.
learning channel. Tell that story to the listeners who might not be familiar with it.
Yeah. So the whole LinkedIn journey did not start from me thinking, oh, I'm going to be this big creator type of thing. Like, I'm going to get over 50,000 subscribers, all this stuff. No, like, I really do love trying to help others grow. Sometimes, like, just like too much. And it could be like overbearing. And so that's why this whole thing started like way back, even before I started the newsletter and LinkedIn and all that. At my first company that I worked at, Gusto, I felt like I was going along with learning about front end and growing as an engineer, but I didn't want to be overbearing with like sharing out things or anything like that. So I just made like a little personal channel where I could write about some of the things that I was learning. And if anyone joined that channel and saw like some of the things that I was like, they're opting in, but you can mute the channel. Like, I'm not gonna like post in this like broader channel or whatever. So I had this channel called Jordan's Front End Learning. Over time, about 50 people joined and they would start sharing their own learnings. They would respond to my thing. And I ended up leaving Gusto, joining a different company, and it was smaller company. And so I was thinking like, wait a minute, this like Jordan's front end learnings thing went pretty well. And I am still doing the same amount of learning that I was before. What if I tried just like posting something on LinkedIn and just see what happens? And my first post on LinkedIn, it was a front end like learning. That was the connection there. Like, I was not posting about like software engineering career growth. Like, I literally posted like a front end tip. It was on like accessibility alt text, and it got like 30 likes. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. It would have took a couple of months of Jordan's front end learning to get like 30 likes on something. So I was just like, okay, let's just try keep doing this a little bit. Just post another learning here and there. Did that, and a couple of days later, like, posts were getting 100, 200, 300 likes. And I was getting a lot of value as well from sharing about this and reflecting on it. So I just kept doing it. And then eventually I figured might as well start the newsletter and have a way to do a bit longer form type learning. And that started, I think, about a month or two after
Yeah,
posting on LinkedIn. And then it just took off from there.
this is such an incredible story of how taking just small steps towards sharing what you're actually learning. It can only happen when you're excited by the stuff that you're learning enough that you want to share it with other people. But
Mhm.
just gradually escalated.
Exactly. Yeah, the learning in public concept is just like hugely, I think, core to being a content creator. Just always be willing to share what you're learning, and people will see that for what it is and will connect with you as well. And you don't need to come across as someone who is feeling like showing that they just know everything. No one knows everything. No one is a guru. If they say they're a guru, they probably are, or they're lying, but they're most likely lying.
Yeah.
So don't trust them. And follow people who are willing to admit that they're not perfect, I would say, and do the same. Be willing to admit that you're not perfect and you're just sharing what you're figuring out. And you might even be wrong with what you're like sharing as well. And that's okay. As long as you put some thought into it, somebody is going to come and share their perspective, and then you turn into a discussion and you make a connection out of it. Sometimes I make connections from people who are willing to like DM me and tell me like, hey, you missed a thing here, or you didn't consider this. And that's okay. You don't need to be all encompassing with everything that you share too. That's okay.
I love this. Okay, like one final question about the newsletter before I move on to the community stuff. So you're like looking back, if you are asked to say like top three reasons why your newsletter grew so fast, apart from
Mm.
content, and it cannot be like the reason cannot be you have great content. Like that is the given, you have great
hmm
content, but what would be like other three things that you did in order to propel this motion?
hmm Let me think. I know the first one that comes to mind is like creator connections for
Hmm.
sure.
Tell us how did that help you?
Yeah. So creator connections both on just like on all the different platforms, Substack, LinkedIn, and people like yourself, right? Like if someone reach out to me and ask to be on the podcast, like of course I'm going to say yes. One, it's an opportunity, for me to meet someone new. You're probably connected, with a lot of people as well. It could be great for me to be connected with later on. I get better at these types of conversations and talking about what I do and reflecting on all that. And that this is just one piece of it. That's just podcast style. But then there's also LinkedIn too, and posting on other people's posts, sharing my thoughts around things that they're sharing. And then on Substack, find people who are trying to do similar things to you and don't view it as a competition. View it as you can both help each other level up and grow, and you can make the pot larger. It's not like a zero-sum game. So that would be the first one and probably the most important, I would say. Other things, I know you said not content related, but I would just say this it somewhat relates to content, but not entirely, is be willing to be personable and be willing to be vulnerable, authentic. Like some people will write posts and you might not even be sure if they're a person, right? You might not be sure if they are actually like Chat GPT behind the scenes, or some form of AI or whatever. Maybe they scheduled these posts or something like that over the course of 3 months, and they're just now off in Bali somewhere, something like that. Like, I mean, I'd say that some people will do that and they do them. But one thing that I like, for example, is those posts that are like about what's going on like right now in my life. I think a couple weeks ago, I wrote about the pin, like landing at Pinterest. And that was a post that I wrote, I think like the day before it went out. It was not something that I like scheduled like 3 months in advance as soon as I got the offer or something like that. It was like how I was feeling in that moment. So be willing to show those emotions, I think. Third one, let's see. Trying to think what else would be. I would say be consistent. And maybe this is a fourth one, but you can't write in a void. You need to, like, for example, there's great content out there that is on someone's personal blog and no one is ever going to find it. Like it's just like how is anyone going to find it if you're not posting like on social media somewhere, or it just like it picked up on, like, maybe if you post on Medium, that's okay too. Like you need to use like these platforms. And sometimes I do see people, like I follow people because I've found them over time, where they are like writing on their personal blog and it's amazing content, but it just doesn't get found. And like I feel like I'm the only one, who might be reading it. And so yeah, you can't just write in a void if you really want your audience to grow. I think it's totally okay to write in a void if you're just doing it entirely for your personal own thought process and those types of benefits and communication skills. But yeah, if you want audience growth, you need to consistently put yourself out there.
Yeah. So you're basically, whenever you have a new post, you're sharing it on, let's say, LinkedIn, Twitter, Substack, obviously, and maybe even Reddit,
Yeah, Reddit
Hacker
and
News.
Slack communities, Discord communities. Yep.
Right. Right. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And that is really solid advice, especially about partnering with the creators, because that is something that I'm personally thinking about a lot right now. And it's really top of mind for me. How can I just reach out to other creators who are maybe like have a bigger audience than I do,
Mm.
and maybe ask them if they can talk about my stuff? how does that work for you? Do you go with that outcomes oriented mindset? You seem like the guy who just goes in there to make a new friend, and you both end up just hyping up each other's work.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think back. I have had a couple interesting connections form. Like one is with like Adios Money. He's Google Chrome developer, like very like he's written multiple books and things like that. And he's a fellow content creator. And another is like Kent Beck, Dave Anderson. Kent Beck also an author, Dave Anderson, ex Amazon GM, Ethan Evans, he's like ex Amazon VP, Steve Quinn. Those people, like all those people that I met, I essentially only met them through boosting them first. I never
Mm,
like just like cold outreach. Oh, hey, can we do this type of thing or something like that? I think if if I did that, that also is okay, but it will just you'll have less odds, right? There's a reason it's called cold outreach versus like warm outreach. Like warm outreach is you've already warmed up the connection a little bit because you've supported them, they've seen your name in a few places, you've given them a shout out, you've, maybe sent them a DM saying that you really appreciate their content or something like that. And I see the same thing too with people who reach out to me. Like someone reached out to me, I think like last week, just sending just like a message that was just like, hey, I just want to let you know I really appreciate your content over the last like couple weeks. It's been super valuable for me, and they've also like over the past couple months liked my content, commented on it, and I of course remember their name, remember their face. And if they end up reaching out to me a couple months down the line and they are like, hey, I saw this job opportunity, do you think you would be able to help me out in any way, and they tried to really make it easy on me, then I would be way more open. First, I would actually open the DM, which is already
mm,
you need that, and then also I'm going to be way more open to trying to help them because honestly, you can tell most of the time with the cold outreach ones if someone's just trying to take something or get something from you, and I don't even open those. Like I just need to, as ruthless as it sounds, I need to be ruthless because
yeah,
there's just so many people who want to take, and you have to cut that out from your life.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I feel the same. I feel this cold outreach madness has gone too far. Like um, cold DMs and cold emails, they might have been a good way for people 6 years ago to get one customer after reaching out to 100 people. But today, I would bet that that's not the case, and it's way less effective. And
Mm.
everybody is, just frustrated with having another person, another cold email coming to their inbox.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, love this. Let me segue into talking about your Maven course creator journey. So, to give listeners some background, I saw this post which you did at the end of last year, where you mentioned that you made somewhere around $30,000 in passive income through the newsletter, and around 20 of that was through the Maven course. So that's a huge chunk. So that's why I
Mm-hmm.
feel like this is a really important subject for us to dive into, because there is an opportunity here for
Hmm.
creators who have a newsletter to just make some more money from it. So
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on like your experience about it. So first of all, tell us, how did you get the idea of building a cohort-based course?
hmm It started with seeing other people do it who were actually connections of mine. So John Cricket was one of the people who I saw doing it, and I was like, oh wow, if he's doing it, then maybe I could too. He and I both have a newsletter. We talk about similar things. People seem to be interested in it. And I always, one of the things like I have thought about if I wasn't going to be like a software engineer is I would be a teacher. I love to teach and help people grow. And I also wanted to have some form of like closer connection than just sending out an email each week. And to be fair, Substack actually does a good job of helping to build that connection because they allow for comments, on your posts, which is great. And so you can, interact with people that way and people respond to the email. But still, another great way to build connection. And then also another thing is I ran into Wes Cow as well. Wes Cow is another creator. She, by
Yeah,
the way, definitely follow her. She has great advice for other creators and just doing better, being a better operator, as you said earlier, in general. But anyway, so came across her. She was one of the co-founders of Maven, which runs this course platform. So I figured, hey, like I have this newsletter audience. I like to teach. I do feel like I can help people get from one level to the next level, mid-level to senior. I have a really interesting story about going from junior to senior in 2 years. So the stars all aligned there. I met the right people at the right time. I think they reached out to me as well and said, hey, I saw that you have this newsletter, and if you're interested, we could talk about it. So they walked me through a little bit. And yeah, that was the process of it starting. And I was still questioning it a little bit, but essentially I knew that there was going to be a sort of a good amount of people buying cohort courses at the end of the year because of their annual budget, their like
Mm,
L&D budget expiring.
yeah,
And so that kind of set like a hard deadline for me where I basically just was like, okay, this is my deadline. This is my work back date basically, and just start building out the thing from there.
that's really smart. So working backward from the deadline where everybody's L&D budgets are gonna expire.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
that's smart.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Now this course that you created, it ran for 3 weeks, and you were
Mhm.
doing it while having a full-time job. Tell us
Yeah,
about that
while posting on
time.
LinkedIn daily,
Oh my
while
God.
doing the newsletter. Oh man.
How many days do you have in a week?
Man, that was a tough time. It was basically like full-time job from like 9 to 5, LinkedIn post early in the morning. So I'd schedule it for like noon. And then the cohort, I think was, so I had a couple hours break after work, basically for dinner. And then after that was the cohort from 8 to 10:30 on Tuesday and Thursday. So there were 5 sessions like that, 5 2.5 hour
Wow.
sure, over the course
Wow.
of 3 weeks. So I really enjoyed my Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
I bet you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did it get tiring like to run every cohort like this? How many cohorts did you run?
Yeah, so I ran 2 cohorts. The first one, it had about, I think somewhere around 50 plus people. And one interesting thing that I did at that time too, especially because it was my first one, was I really tried to bring other creators into the process. So I would reach out to a lot of the connections that I made and I would say, hey, if totally up to you, if you're open to it, you can share this link with your audience. If people sign up through your link, I'm going to give you $100. And that was like, that's more than like most affiliate people like
Yeah,
get. And I, in general, am just like very generous with both like affiliate and discounts to my audience because I just really believe in the concept of what you give is what you get. And if you show that you're not trying to like nickel and dime people, you're not trying to take everything from them, you're just trying to give value and be helpful, that it's like going to come back to you. So, anyways, I did that and that helped get me, I think, to like over 50 people. Another thing too that I did was I also allowed any creator that wanted to, as I would let them know about the affiliate link, I allowed them to join the course totally for free. And I like said, hey, if you would like to just observe because it's something you want to potentially consider, or you would get any value from this course, I will happily give you free entry, totally up to you. And a lot of people took me up on that as well. And I think I essentially asked as well, like that they would just like, give me feedback, help me improve the course.
mm,
So did that, got over 50. Second cohort, I think it was around 30 people, and I did less like creator outreach there just because I didn't really want to bother other creators as much, but I think I might have made maybe one broader sort of post to different creators and just said, hey, I'm not going to cold DM you, but if you're interested, just let me know and I can happily hook you up type of thing. So yeah, that was how many people joined. And in terms of dealing with how much time it took and everything, it was definitely like really rough, I would say, doing all those things at once, which is why I have taken more of a like a break over the
yeah,
past like few months since that second cohort. And my plan now is to digitize the course because
mm,
I just think it's a better way of scaling yourself. I think you can, even with digitizing it, I think there's a way to do a digitized version and then do a cohort version because some people will prefer one or the other. And maybe you just like charge more for the cohort version, but then say that they can access the digitized version as well, or they have all the recordings too if you get the cohort. So I might do something like that. But yeah, I'm working up to making the digitized version right now.
yeah. That sounds really the next logical step.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Now you mentioned that you partnered with these other creators in order to get fill in the cohort. Did you track like the number of people who joined from your newsletter?
Yes. Wait, I'm trying to think because I had a couple of discount codes initially. One was
Right.
like a early bird discount code, and that was I think 25% off. The other thing that I did too was I gave 50% off to all my paid subscribers. And so I think just through both of those, it was probably around maybe 60 to 70% of where all the purchases. And then there were a few people
Yeah.
who didn't get in on either of those, didn't get the early bird or didn't get the paid subscriber
Hmm.
discount.
Got it. Got it. Okay. A large majority of subscribers did come from your newsletter.
Yeah, newsletter and LinkedIn. I made
Yeah.
LinkedIn posts as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. And tell me about the process of creating this course. So here you are, you haven't created a course like this any like before. And here you are creating not just a course, but a cohort, like live course where you
Yeah.
are the teacher. How did you, first of all, teach yourself about creating this?
Yeah, it was a little bit of chatting with Maven, which is nice because Maven helps you along the way. They want you to succeed. And I
Mhm.
would recommend starting out on Maven if you can, if you are going to do a cohort course, because one, it gives you credibility because like they are already an established platform and they're going to guide you to make sure you do the right things. The other thing that I had going for me that I will acknowledge is that I do have speaking experience. I've been like doing presentations throughout university and also in a couple of my past jobs. It's just something I've gotten used to a little bit. I was nervous, like very much, going into that first sort of session because I just had no idea what to expect. And I don't even think I really attended another cohort aside from like the intro one that Maven gives you. But I think after telling them a little bit about me and telling them what I hope to help them get out of this course, it definitely eased my tension and I think eased the room as well because it just acknowledged the elephant in the room that it's like it's my first cohort. Just bear with me as I make mistakes, but know that I'm going to be especially stubborn about making sure that you are very happy with your experience. So if I mess up, like just please tell me. And if you're unhappy for any reason, please tell me. I will like dedicate extra time. And so you have that like crutch on, especially on your first go around. If people are willing to like buy into your cohort course, you could basically like just acknowledge that it's your first time and you're happy to work through any issues that someone has with it.
That makes a lot of sense. And tell me more about Maven and the support that provided you. So I understand that
Hmm.
helped you as a beginner to help you understand how to like the basics of it, basically. Like, I guess the best practices of presentation, like structuring your
Mm-hmm.
course syllabus. But what else? And the second part of that question is if you had to run this cohort for the third time, are there any benefits of doing it with Maven versus doing it like on your
Mm-hmm.
own?
Yeah, Maven, when you get started, they essentially give you a lot of different frameworks that you can use to structure your cohort. Things to think about. Like one example is you shouldn't be talking for more than 15 minutes without any interaction, right? So like at some point you should be raising a question, getting the audience to write something down, or just like pausing to like let them think about something. And so that's an element that I incorporated throughout the whole thing. It's another thing that really helps you do the cohort in a way that's sustainable for you because it's really hard to talk for like more than an hour straight. So if you're able to pause, allow for room where other people are able to get involved in the discussion and you can use that as bouncing off points, then that's going to help you a lot with time management. That was one key area that Maven helped out with. Another area is they also promote you via their emails too. And they also promote you on their like landing page and things like that. So people can find your course. And I've done like random searches on Maven as well and come across courses that just they seem interesting and I wouldn't have known about them because I'm not going to go searching on like Kajabi or something like that
Yeah.
for a course, like a cohort course. It's just not a place that I would go. But I understand that people do go there and they get some level of independence. With Maven, they only take a 10% cut. So
Mm.
I think that's fair. It's not that much in the grand scheme of things, especially if they're able to bring you a few customers as well, then it already balances out the cost that you would take.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Got it. And does it help like with the tech side of things? Do they provide any tools for
Yeah,
making it
exactly.
easier to run the
They
cohort?
allow you to upload interfaces for uploading the slides, the recording, drip email campaigns for your wait list. So you could set up a wait list and then you can
Mhm.
advertise that wait list. Doing
Yeah.
that process is really big in terms of getting people to sign up, like starting with the wait list first, where people just are interested. They don't know much about it, but they're interested. And then doing a drip campaign from that is very helpful. Let's see. They also have like an integrated Slack thing like on the website where like people can chat and they also have an interface for setting up projects as well and allowing your cohort people to upload their project or something like that. But yeah, it's got everything you need for sure.
Got it. Okay. Maven's a yes from you. So listeners
Definitely, yeah.
can, it'll be a good bet for listeners to choose Maven for hosting their cohort-based courses.
Yeah, it's a great place to start for sure if you're just thinking about getting
Got it.
into it. One caveat
Got
is
it.
I don't know about, like in my scenario, Maven was very helpful with pushing me along and giving me all the resources I need and all that stuff. Part of the reason is because it benefits them to do it, because they know that I'm going to be bringing in a good amount of traffic from my existing audience that they know about. But let's say if you are a junior engineer and you have, I don't know, like 500 followers on LinkedIn, you haven't really proven yourself that much in terms of your content creation ability. Maven doesn't know that you're going to be building this awesome cohort. They have no reason to believe it. Like, just understandably, anyone would come at it from that perspective, I think. So you might not get that same level of support is all. You will still have access to all the same features, but you just something to be aware of is all. I
Okay.
think it's good if you have an existing audience where they know, like, they're able to see some past things you've done, things like that,
Mm.
because they are also taking a bet on you in a way to, like, for your credibility and being on taking advantage of their credibility.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fair point. Okay. I like this. And you already told us, but I want to get into this a little more because I feel like this is going to be the number one reservation for anybody who is thinking of starting a cohort-based course, which is that it is going to take up a lot of their time and
Mm-hmm.
it's not really scalable. What sort of, so you mentioned you are going to digitize your course, but that's like going the direction of, let's say, Udemy, where it's like a bunch of videos, really useful videos, but there's only so much that you can charge for a digital version of your course.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any other plans to make it even more valuable, maybe by adding like a community component to it or something like that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of it, but that could be a cool way to add more value to it. Maybe it's a base version, and then the base plus you get access, like, to the community, and then that's a way to get a little bit more from that and be able to provide a little bit more value. But yeah, that's a good call. And in terms of the time that it takes up, I would say it was about maybe equal time to hmm, put it together and the time to do the cohort, to run the cohort itself. So it was probably about, like, maybe 15 to 20 hours to put together all the content, do all the advertising, update all the settings and things like that, prep a little bit, here and there. And then it was like 12 and a half hours of actual session time for me, just the way that I set up the cohort. With that said, other people don't set it up the same way. Other people I see, they will do maybe hour sessions, like 4 1 hour sessions, and maybe a couple 30-minute office hour sessions. And that's okay too. In my case, like, I have so much content to cover that I know people would get value from, and I would feel remiss if, like, I told people that this is how you get from mid-level to senior, but I drop the content that I currently have to make it shorter. There would be too much that's missing, because I already am on that cusp where it feels like there really should be more in this if I want to cover some more of the nuance. But I know that my course as it is right now gives people an amazing base that I never had. So I think I'm, like, happy with how it is right now, but it is long and it takes a good amount of time, of course. So that's the unfortunate part. With that said, if I didn't have a full-time job, it would take, like, less than half the time, I think. I think, like, dollars per hour wise, it's probably roughly the same as my full-time job type of thing. So theoretically,
Hmm.
I could go full all in on the cohort and stop working, or working full-time or whatever. I don't want to do that, but if you're really interested in the concept, then I think it brings you that choice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point too. It's what you're saying is it's at least as scalable as your full-time job is.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the thing is, there is this concept of mining versus farming. And so, like, mining
Mm.
is, like, the idea that there's, like, a fixed amount of people that may be willing to buy your cohort, and you might not be able to mine as fast as sort of fossil fuels replenish. But if you're able to, like, farm, that more aligns with the digital version of the course, where you're just naturally growing your audience. You have this course on the side, and more people are naturally going to find out about your course over time, and those people will buy it and things like that. So if you're in the situation where you quit your full-time job or something and you are needing to mine on the cohort course, then that could put you in a dangerous situation depending on how expensive you are living. And like the variability there that might have. My first cohort course, it had over 50 people. My next one had 30. Maybe there's a chance that the next one after that might have had 10 or 15, or it could have had 50. Who knows? But are you willing to live with that risk? I don't know.
True.
That's why I view it as supplemental to the full-time job.
Yeah, I think that's a really good caveat to leave people with, because it's not just about build your audience and then you can monetize them. Like, it's oftentimes more difficult to monetize your audience for the second time. You can have
Yeah,
one big launch and that can work, but what about the second time you want to ask them for paying you money?
yeah,
And the third
exactly.
time and on from there. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And
This.
one interesting thing to think about there too is after my first cohort, I had, I think it was like over 20 really solid reviews, but I still had less people sign up, right?
Yeah.
Because
Oh wow.
it's like, it's just that a lot of the people that would have signed up have already signed up probably. So yeah, it's something to watch out for.
Hmm. Thank you for sharing that detail with us. I feel like this is going to be really important for anybody who's thinking about starting this course, like a course
Yeah,
like this.
definitely. Cool.
Okay. Now I want to leave the listeners with one final piece of advice. So let's say the person listening to this is a newsletter creator who has a big audience, let's say a few tens of thousands of subscribers, but they haven't monetized it yet. So
Mm,
what should be the first steps they should be taking in order to start turning that audience into a business?
mm. I would say the first step is allow people to give you money. So there's so many people that are just, they like you for you and they want to support you, even if they don't even get anything from it necessarily. That was the case for me. Like when I first went paid with my newsletter, there was no benefit to doing it. There was literally none. It was just, I'm just turning on paid and you could pay if you want. Like I just wanted to see if anyone would do that. And surprisingly, like I think maybe 4 days had gone by or something like that. And I think I might have shared that I enabled the paid and that like benefits would be coming. But just if anyone wanted
Yeah.
to now, then they could. And someone did it. I was charging, it was $5 a month or $50 per year. So someone did it a couple days after, and I was just like blown away. My first paid subscriber, and I was like, oh my gosh! Like I was out on my way to the movie theater, and I'm like, oh my gosh! I just earned like my first $50. Wow, that's insane. And the person didn't even do the monthly thing. Like they trust me that much to
Uh,
subscribe, do the annual subscription. They either trust me that much, or they just wanted to give me that much money. What's to say that maybe if I put it for 100 or 150 or something, they might have been down to do that because they liked what I was doing that much. And yeah, crazy enough, like I later ended up, I sent that person a message and so much. That's one thing I do to all new paid subscribers. I send them a message and
mm,
I thank them. And that person, yeah, I did that. And then later on, I was in their city and we met up, for brunch. And they were also the first person to buy my cohort course too, which is crazy. It just goes to show like some people that they just really what you do. So be open to that, understand that people are more giving, than you might think, and open yourself up to that and make sure you give back. I have constantly tried to do that with my paid subscribers where I will give you like way more value than the paid subscription is worth. When to all new paid subscribers on my newsletter, I've given them the 50% off on the course, which is like it was like $375 off. The paid subscription, it's $5 a month it was at the time. And so that's like already, I don't know, like 3,000x maybe not 3,000, I think it's 300, something like that, but
yeah.
or 3,000% maybe. But anyways, yeah, so there's that. And then I give them like a resource booklet as well, which is like all these templates and examples of things that I've learned like over the past 6 years and like things that have took me like probably 20 plus hours to put together. And you just get it like as a paid subscriber for free, discounts on tons of other things and all that stuff. So I really like to, give back to anyone who's willing to give to me. And I think people recognize that.
I think that's a fantastic way to live by, like in general in life as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for. I think that's a fantastic note to end this awesome interview, Jordan. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you so much, Nitesh. I really appreciate being here, man. It's been an awesome interview.
Awesome. Please stop.